What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We're taking a look at Ratchet Clank Rift Apart here on the ROG Ally, and man, there's so many different combinations of wattage, resolution, in-game settings. I really had to just pick some stuff here and take a look at performance. So hopefully in this video you'll at least just get an idea of how the game is running and a general direction you might want to go. As far as getting the game to run, at least at time of launch, the only way I could do this was with 6 gigabytes of VRAM. Everything else would just crash for me, and apparently for a lot of other people as well. So making sure that I'm plugged in, I'm going to hold down on the volume button, turn the ROG Ally on, and keep holding that down. This is going to take you into the BIOS options. Pretty quick and easy. I just hold that down until I see it pop up. I'm not sure if you can let go earlier or not, but this is how I do it. So once that pops up here, you're going to want to hit Y to go into the advanced options. And then once you do that, you'll be able to probably just use your touch screen here to navigate. So you'll be on your main screen here. You're going to want to go to advanced, which is going to be right here at the top. And then you're going to see the UMA frame buffer size, or the VRAM, and you're going to want to change that to 6G. So the 6 gigabytes of VRAM, only way I've been able to get this game to run, but with that, it does run really well. Now, there's been a lot of issues with the trigger apparently with this game. Mine has, for the most part, worked. But from my understanding online and just looking at others' ways of trying to fix this and get around it, I guess the idea is if you're here at the default 0% to 100%, you can do something like 2040, 2065, 2085. I had someone tell me 6585. There's all kinds of stuff you can do here for your dead zone settings, and this is going to make the triggers work in Ratchet & Clank if they're not working for you now. But the exact combination I'm really still trying to figure out as well, and it seems different for different people. But if it's not working for you, go in here and play around with those. So let's go ahead and finally get into the game and how it's performing here. As far as settings, full screen, 1080p, VSync is on. And we are using dynamic resolution scaling here with a target of 45. It's fairly aggressive, but it works really well. And I know I normally would say not to use dynamic upscaling, but this works extremely well in this game. And for lower end hardware like APU laptops and these handhelds, it's kind of a go-to for me, and it's the only way I'm gonna run the game. And as far as graphics, we're on the medium preset here with just a couple little changes, but what we're gonna do is mostly use the very low, and medium preset in the game for some testing, 15, 25, and 30 watts, and we'll take a very quick look at 720p, though I'm not gonna be using that in this game myself. Now, getting into the game itself, 15 watts, I wasn't expecting medium 1080p dynamic resolution to stay 30 FPS or above, but I also wasn't expecting it to actually be fairly decent, like as far as not having a bunch of stutters and skipping around and problems. I mean, yeah, the frame rate's going below 30 FPS depending on what's going on, but I was surprised. I was very impressed that even at these settings, only pushing to 15, we were still able to play. Now, I want to use this area here because it's a bit harder to run than the first level. This is like 3 levels in. I got 5 or 6 hours in this game, and I've played quite a few levels, and this one kind of tough to run being in the forest away from the city, so I want to use it as an example here. And again, 15 watts medium, I'm not expecting to have a high frame rate here, and of course 23 FPS is not a playable experience, but again, surprisingly, because this is GPU bound and not CPU, it's not all stuttery and a mess. And if we go down to low, we don't gain very much, and I talked about this in the Steam Deck video. Low and medium are very close when it comes to performance. You'll notice some difference depending on where you're at and depending on you know, what kind of wattage you're using and whatnot. But yeah, for the most part, low and medium are similar. You might gain a little bit, but it doesn't do a lot to help you out, especially when we're talking about being fairly GPU bound. Now, going down to very low with 15 watts here, 1080p dynamic res, we actually do go up a little bit in the frame rate and do a bit better, and it almost becomes a more playable experience. Now, there's another area you'll see later where we're back down into the 20s with this setting. So 15 watts, even at very low 1080p dynamic res, isn't very viable if you're going through the whole game. There's going to be a lot of levels that are still under 30 FPS, but it does work. Now, if we go in here and switch up to our 25 watts and we stay back to our medium settings here, 1080p dynamic res, of course, we're going to see much better performance. So even at medium here, we'll basically stay above 30, stays very playable. And again, I know this is just one very small area. I'm using this area on purpose as a control zone so that we can see the differences, but I have played a ton of the game here on Ally to look at performance. So this was just a good example here. But 25 watts, of course, the Ally wants that power. When you're at 20, 25, 30 is when it performs its best. And actually this game at 20 watts is really good. I don't have any of that in this video, but I'm playing it personally at 20 watts most of the time on medium. Now, if we switch over to 30 watts here on medium, we'll gain just a little bit more. Again, the Ally and this game, being GPU bound, it loves that power. So the more we give it, the better performance we're getting, the faster that we can burn up that battery if we're handheld mode at 25. But if we're plugged in docked at 30 and it's not even an issue, you can get yourself some good performance here at medium and 1080p. Now I don't go above medium because as soon as I go into high, I crash with the VRAM and everything. So very low, low, and medium's the only ones I can really test anyways, and that's why we're gonna cap out at medium here in the video. But yeah, it performs really, really well this way. And it just seems like obviously the Ally is a high performance machine that likes the wattage. The Steam Deck is very good at low performance or low TDP performance and does really good at 15. But staying here at very low, we're going to move over this area just a little bit and you'll see some pretty good frame rates. Again, 30 watts docked is really nice when it comes to the Ally's performance, but that's not always the way we're able to play. And at very low, it certainly doesn't struggle too much here. We're not even pushing the GPU all the way. We're actually starting to use the CPU a bit more there. If we switch back to medium, we'll go and we'll still stay above 30 FPS here at 30, and we would at 25 as well. And even at my 20 watts, it's the 15 where we really start to kind of suffer a bit here, and 720p starts to look like the way you want to go in that case a lot of the time. But yeah, for what we're looking at here on the Ally, this was pretty impressive for Ratchet & Clank. Now 15 watts, very low here. This is the area I was telling you where we can't hold 30. Tough to run spot here. So again, like I said, you just can't go through the whole game at 15 watts, 1080p, even with dynamic res or FSR or any of that, and expect to stay 30 or up above that. But if we go in here and we change over to 720p, which I'm only going to do this one time because I just think it's very blurry. I don't like it in this game, even on the smaller screen. To me, it's not worth it to be, it's not needed to be playable. But at 15 watts, if you are wanting to hold above 30 FPS, 720p is going to basically be your way to go here. So I'm on very low dynamic resolution, 720p, 15 watts. And yeah, even in this tough to run area where we were at 25, 26 FPS, we're able to stay well above 30 here, give ourselves some headroom. You could even lock things down if you wanted to. So that kind of gives you a general idea of what you're looking at when it comes to like the resolution, the settings, and the wattage there, and kind of performance. And I think that area was a good control zone to kind of show you the difference in all of those and what to expect, and hopefully kind of guide you where you want to go as far as your own wattage and resolution and in-game settings and all of that. I don't like to just give people what we would call best settings, because in my opinion the best settings on PC are the settings that you personally like to play at. So I just like to show the performance and you guys can go from there. Now if I jump back to the first level, because we were just in that control zone, I want to show you that things are pretty similar. So at 25 watts medium here on that first level, doing some fighting, got a lot going on. We hold pretty good here, a lot like we were in the other level. If I switch this over to 15, or no, let's go 30 turbo here, we'll gain a little bit more, just like we did in that control area that I was in. So performance is fairly consistent between worlds, but there are areas that are harder to run than others, which I pretty much showed there. But for the most part, this game, playing it on the Ally, especially on the 1080p screen handheld, it looks gorgeous, it's playing great. And there's a lot of room to wiggle in how you want to run the game. 15 watts here, of course, we're going to go back down into the 20s at medium, which is to be expected. I'm not expecting it to hold its own on this game in those settings, but I do think it's interesting how well it does still run. Now if I go in here and switch this back to low, very low, that's where we'll gain the most, because remember, between low and medium here at 15, there's not much difference in FPS. But if I go very low, now all of a sudden, we do get to a bit more of a playable situation here. But again, some areas of the game will still go down into the 20s, even with these settings, hence 720p, 15 watts, you could do a little bit better. It all depends on how you want the game to run for you and what you're looking to get out of it. But ultimately, the performance here on the ROG Ally is great, and whether you want to go 720 or 1080, dynamic res or just FSR or whatever you want to do there, and very low or medium, there's just a lot of wiggle room on how you want to run things. But it looks great here. I've played through this game on PS5, and I'm looking forward to playing through it again on PC, and probably mostly on the Ally. I've been playing on the deck to a good bit. So anyways guys, thanks a lot for coming and check out the video. As always, I really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next one.